We're back yet again in the Hunter Classic, going for another 1000th harvest milestone, this time with the Carbon Recurve, and much like with the longbow last week, we are sitting at 988 total harvests, 12 away from the 1000 mark, and I'm quite excited to kind of check this one off the list as well. That'll leave us with only the crossbow pistols and the cable back bow remaining. And I decided to come to Timbergold Trails. There's a really interesting competition running that I quite like. It's for your highest scoring mule deer under 140, so essentially the ultimate score would be 139.9999. Now, this is also a single player competition, and we've talked about the benefits of single player versus multiplayer. Is multiplayer really better? All that mostly in the 200 grind for our whitetail. We did end up getting our 200 in multiplayer. So even if single player is on average worse spawns, in theory we want worse spawns, so still looking for trophies obviously, we'll see what we can get today, but kind of average size mule deer actually mean something. Now these guys unfortunately there is no good competition for, although that looks to be a pretty decent wolf. I think the competition is like an average of your top 3 highest scoring wolves or something like that, and I just don't find it likely on a recurve hunt that we're going to be calling in that many, but I don't know, they are scored by their skull kind of like a bear would be, and it looked to me like this guy could be a 16 plus. Pretty good size head on him, 72 kg is a good sign, and a 16.1 wolf to start out our hunt, so maybe in theory we should have actually entered the wolf competition, but I still think there's a fair chance we're not even going to kill 3 on this hunt, but there actually was a buck across the river that grunted as well, so we can maybe go and get a look at that. So perhaps a bit on the low side with a max score of 110. This one's going to be way too small to have a chance in that competition, but this is kind of the thing that I like about competitions such as the one we entered today, especially for videos. You know, maybe, I don't know, 5% or something of deer that we would see in a video are big enough that, you know, maybe we'll take a trophy shot of them or something like that, but other than that, the rest of them aren't all that significant. They're kind of just things that we run across, and generally my philosophy when we're bow hunting is if we're calling a buck in, and we've taken the time to get to that point, we might as well just go ahead and take it down, and that at least removes it from the map. We're not going to get tracks from it, calls from it, anything that distract us later, but when we have a competition where a buck that scores around 140 matters, it makes more of the deer actually interesting, and we might actually gain something from taking them out. So not exactly moving in the right direction here. It's basically our last buck's twin, same estimate and everything, but one thing that it does do, even if it's not any good for the competition, is increase our harvest total. That shot was a little higher than I wanted, but gets us to 9 away from 1000, so we're about a quarter of the way there. I'm kind of curious, and I don't even remember the score of the last one, 99 or something like that. Now I'm going to have to go and look, because this one scored 99. I don't think they're exactly the same, but I'm intrigued to see how close they were. Elk, meanwhile, we actually have a competition trophy for, and I probably still should have looked, but I didn't even check. Now that mule deer just kind of stepped out. We're going to take that instead. It's bigger than a 140, but comparatively better than the elk. There's another bull back there too. Not a big one either. 295 to 390, but he's nowhere near 390 on that estimate. I'm not sure if I have level 20 spotting for Rocky Mountain elk or not, but between the two, I think the mule deer was the better option. 169.7, 80 GM for making that shot quick definitely isn't too bad. So finally, I think 4 harvests in, we're at least kind of close-ish to what we're looking for. This rack can get around 140. 125 to 150 estimate is kind of decent for what we're looking for. Bunch of mule deer does coming in on this side, by the way, but we'll go ahead and try to get the buck. Hopefully he'll be in that 138, 139 area, but I don't know. There's a variant of that rack that normally scores low 120s, and one that's just a little bit bigger. There are more bucks coming in that I was unaware of. Neither of them are very big. Let's just go ahead and get this guy. And maybe we can get one of those for another harvest to increase our total. 132 is decent. Definitely not going to be good enough. For now, top 5, but I think the competition just recently started. I want to say, especially with the sticker, this guy probably is that kind of low 120s rack. it is interesting, and maybe the does running by spooked whatever else was in this group, but they don't really travel in threes. Tends to be $5, and I can only guess that the first one we shot was along with these, but I want to say harvest number 6 already, moving a lot faster than with the longbow. Although with the longbow we had to track a bunch of stuff over there on Settlers, but neckbone shot there from the tree stand at 121 score. At least some of them are kind of the right rack, just need a little bit higher scoring. I didn't really intend on this hunt becoming a chase a bunch of average size mule deer hunt, but this one's interesting. It's probably a 150-ish rack, but he's got that one big sticker there, he looks a little uneven, and a 135 to 165 estimate. I'm just kind of curious to see where that ends up. It definitely could be one of those kind of odd cases where he scores a lot lower than you'd expect. And it's funny with the carbon recurve. That doe definitely sees us. But we're going to pass them up. There are bucks seemingly all over this map, and I'd rather kind of continue getting some of those. There's a really tiny buck over on that side, but I think we'll just kind of go ahead and spook these does off and go and check. But that is another side of hunting for a competition like this, where a particular score matters. A sticker on a big rack could actually help. So he's 148, still well above what we would have wanted, but there's a bunch of racks kind of that basic shape. Some are more like 145-ish. A sticker like that puts them right in that 139 area. Well, that is interesting. I don't know that I've ever actually spotted a puma down out of the mountains. I've had the calls before, but they always end up being in a not ideal area. And actually, I don't even have the call now. So we're going to have to take that probably with the 300. I find it quite unlikely that we get in range with the recurve there. So kind of a little pit stop with the 300 to take a puma, but maybe next step, and this is pushing things pretty far into the future, but I really want to get that milestone of 100 harvest of every species. It gives you a particular banner for your profile that I quite like, and at the moment, with the cableback bow and the crossbow pistols, I think I'm at 176 cableback bow harvest. I've been trying to up those numbers. We were probably less than 50 last week, so I've been sitting on Settler Creeks and tree stands quite a lot and doing all that, but it's going to take a while to do that. And then the crossbow pistols, because they are so limited on the species you can take, those I can imagine being quite some time until we get 1,000 with each, but I'm kind of committed at this point to do those as well. But puma are a species where at the moment I feel like we have 16 or something. I just looked at these stats a couple of days ago, so a little bonus one as we're running along definitely ain't bad. Plus, it was a male. I couldn't tell if it was decent sized or not, but I mentioned this as well in the Trophy Lodge tour. We shot a 15.9 right after they came out, and that was kind of close to as well as you could get. That one's decent, 91 kg, 15.7, 170 CSS. I didn't realize. I mean, that is worth just simply for the GM making that shot and running over here. But it is possible to get a 16 puma now. It wasn't at the time they came out. And, you know, any chance we get to maybe improve the one in our lodge would also be taken. Obviously, that guy didn't make it, but like I said, that GM reward's quite nice. I ended up deciding to fast travel back south. For one, because we actually didn't get this area earlier, but also we were getting pretty far north where we encountered the puma, and I didn't think there was a whole lot of odds that we'd see, especially more mule deer, maybe some elk. I thought I just heard more footsteps, but we'll kind of scoot out here. There's another bull on the other side of the lake, and it's not wanting to come around to this side, but it's kind of in the direction that we are going anyway. But we've got 5 arrows remaining, meaning we are 4 away from 1,000. We just so happen to have 13 recurve arrows, so in theory we have room to mess up one shot along this hunt, but if we have 1 remaining when we're done, that will mean we are all set for 1,000. Well, that's just unfortunate. A 220 to 250 mule deer, that is the max score estimate, and we're out here looking for one under 140 for the competition. Now, no complaints from me. I mean, a big mule deer is always a cool thing to encounter. I didn't immediately see any deductions there, no short beams, but we'll hopefully get a better look as he is coming in. But go figure, and the reason that I wanted to come to Timbergold in the first place, I had the idea of Timbergold and then looked at competitions, was to look for mule deer because we don't have a mule deer competition trophy of any kind since they redid the comps. And single player and all, I guess it's a bad day to have a competition looking for a lower score. I think we might need to use the gun. There are does coming in from behind us. That one just walked by. I've got scent out. I don't know why they're doing this, but I'm pretty sure we're gonna take the shot. He does have a short time, by the way, before everything scatters, and especially when there's no reason to take it with the bow other than for our harvest total. But to track that for forever because a couple of does walk past and we want to get one more recurve harvest, I think we're just better off kind of continuing forward. Especially, I am on his trail. I saw him grunt, but the odds that we don't end up getting mixed up or having a bunch of other bucks trotting around, I just think we're better off dropping him and taking a look here. But 230s, I'm guessing? 229.9, close enough, I suppose, but not bad. That one short time cost us quite a bit, but I kind of thought maybe he was a little more narrow than a 240, and of course, having the short time would keep him from being there regardless. So definitely would have been nice to take that with a recurve, but having taken it with the 300 only means we still have 4 harvests to go to reach number 1000. But that is now 2 pretty solid harvests off Timber Gold, or 3 really, I guess, if you count the Puma. The Puma more so just for the GM total. A 16.1 Wolf, a 229 Mule Deer now, and the Puma that was, I mean, decent at 15.7. Maybe single player's not all that bad. I like the looks of that, although a huge sticker might mess with it again. Kind of finally, after an accidental extended break from using the 300, we can at least try to get back kind of on track with the recurve. Of course, the one that we're trying to get is kind of hidden, but at least we hit him. Gonna have to be something that will track, but shouldn't go too far. I think it should be single lung. So let's see then. This is kind of what I talked about before. What I would call about a 145-ish rack, but that might be, I don't know, 8 inches of deduction. It's a little much for that sticker. Puts us at 134.5. So I'll have to look after the hunt. Like, I think I have to close the launcher and reopen it because my stats aren't loading. But without that sticker, he's right in that area. I think he's still over 140. That's a pretty big sticker, but that was close to being about what we wanted. Maybe it's the couple of 300 harvests that kind of broke things up there. But it feels like we are very quickly and suddenly closing in on 1,000 total. If we can make the shot, we'll be at 998, I believe. So we'll try to kind of get this in the chest. That'll work just fine. And once again, not one that's going to do any good for the competition. He's definitely over 140. But at this point, I think especially we are just going for that harvest number 1,000. So 158 for that guy. Honestly, we're making decent GM, especially factoring in that Puma there, but we have 3 remaining arrows that would indeed have us at 998 then. I have genuinely never seen a Rocky Mountain elk sleeping, and this guy just woke up and I guess is coming back into the call. I saw this elk. I remember that estimate for sure. It was at the same lake where we shot the 229 mule deer. Unfortunately, not an insta drop, but there was another bull that had called off to the left, so hopefully this is going to be a lung shot. It looks like bright blood there on the ground. And if all goes to plan then, our last 2 harvests towards 1,000 could be a bull elk. I'm not quite sure what happened to the other bull elk. There's a chance it was asleep as well and I didn't see it. I did not realize that was going to go 356. Better sized bull than I realized. But we have 1 harvest yet to go then. 2 arrows remaining and 1 to reach that 1,000 mark. So we're kind of back in the area where we shot the 229. I think we'll try to go kind of up into this general area. I'm hoping to encounter another bull elk. I'd definitely rather that over, you know, maybe a small buck, but we'll see what's up here. We've been in this hunt for a little over 2 hours. Stuff will have wandered all over the place. I would not have predicted a grizzly bear to wrap up with, but he's out here ahead of us. If we can get him to stop and if we can get maybe into a position we can see him a little better from, we'll try to get him down. We've actually had a fair bit of different species in this hunt. Mule deer, elk, wolves, and puma already. adding a grizzly bear to the list would be pretty neat, but he's kind of just on his way up through there. We're well within range. I'd like him to stop. Grizzly bear, or really all bear species in Classic, have kind of odd hitboxes, and if you're at all too far back, it's just an intestine shot. Surely that's spine? I don't understand why he's just standing there. Well, now he's gonna take off. Let's go and check the blood. Not the most interesting ending, but we'll see what the heck just happened. Blood is body blood, kind of as expected. So we'll have to wait this one out, but I mean, he's hit now, so kind of, I guess that's going to be our 1000th harvest, not the most conventional harvest ever. I'm curious to see if that was indeed a spine shot, because as you can see, it's not far. I just kind of sat there and waited it out. And yeah, 23-minute wound time. That was definitely best to just kind of stay away, but the important thing is 1000 recurve bow carbon harvest, and that now leaves us with 3 bows remaining. There are 2 variations of the crossbow pistol, one of which I think we talked about on stream. Because it's the Wolfsbane one, if we really grind werewolf specifically with the crossbow pistol this fall, I don't think it's going to be too bad to get that one to 1000, and with the cableback bow, we're closing it on 200 at the moment. So it feels like there's a light at the end of the tunnel finally after all these years, and it's nice to get another one crossed off the list. But anyway, that is going to do it for this video, so thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.